company-wide theme overtaking the Coffinverse in 2023.
Greetings, everybody. How you doing? This is Coffin Comics publisher Brian Pulido, and welcome to Beer with Brian, the monthly program of the Coffin Comics Sworn Club. This is an informal discussion, pop culture topics of the day, and this is also a chance for you guys and gals out there to ask questions. It's a fun Q&A period. Excuse me, I got a burp. It's about to happen. Now, today, we are less than 24 hours into our La Muerta Kickstarter campaign, and as can be expected, most of us at HQ are a little bleary. Late night and all that, you know how it goes, so we're all trying to hold it down. I got up, I still did my work. I'm working on Mike Morg, and I'm turning in the last elements of the general overview for the upcoming Chaotica Spellbound Kickstarter, so Coffin don't play, Coffin works, and that's what's up. So without further ado, if you have any questions, lay them on me.
Hey, we just have Sean here saying, hey, Coffin Comics, you rock so much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Well, if there's no questions, I'm going to start on pop culture ruminations of the day. What have we been watching? Well, in our household, we are watching the second season of the Netflix series Sweet Tooth, which is based off of the comic series that was published by DC. So I adored the first season. The craftsmanship of the first season is incredible. And on the second season, things like the costumes are incredible. We finally see more hybrid children. They're incredible. There's something about the story, since it really veers far away from the comic, where I'm trying to find my way. The comic was a quest. It ran like 60, 70 issues, and I really enjoyed the momentum and the constant movement. In the second season, they're kind of settling down to a finite amount of locations, and I'm sort of missing the propulsion, the constant movement, the discovery of new places. But I'm in it. I think we're seeing 6 out of the 8 episodes, and we're committed to completing them. Another thing that Francisca and I have been watching on Amazon Prime is a relatively new spy series called Citadel. I just was sort of knocking around and happened to see it and was very surprised. I like what I've seen. We've seen 2 episodes, and what I like about it is that it's a really big budget. I can't imagine that just for, I guess, being an Amazon Prime member, I get to see this stuff that probably costs like $20, $30 million an episode to do. I like action movies. I like spy movies. How do I describe this? There's a giant international organization of what appears to be benevolent spies that operate separate from any government. And all of them except 2 are murdered by an evil organization. And the 2 who survive actually get their memories wiped. Story picks up 8 years later. One of the spies is searching for his identity and does a DNA swab, which puts him back on the radar of all these spy organizations. And it begins a process of the 2 spies who do not know each other reconnecting. Will they get their memories back? All that stuff. I don't want to tell you. But I found it engaging. I think the thing I like most about it is the action scenes and the expense. So I don't know if there are any questions. If not, I'll keep rambling. Watch out.
Yeah, Jay's asking, are there any newer comics that you've been reading?
Oh my gosh, newer comics. Boy, I've been pretty remiss. I haven't picked up my subscription in about 3 months, which happens. I pick it up, or someone I know is like going by. So new stuff, no. I've been going down the rabbit hole of classic stuff. As an example, what I've been looking at is I was gifted a hardcover version of Superman versus Muhammad Ali, which was a DC Treasury size one-shot, made it into a hardcover. It was gifted to me by Joel Gomez, who's here visiting because of the Kickstarter campaign. And I was just admiring and being blown away by the quality of the Neil Adams art. Look forward to looking more deeply into that. As far, new stuff. Holy mackerel. I talked about it in a previous Beer with Brian, but the new stuff I like out of Boom is a series called Grimm. I think it's on 7 or 8 issues, and I've liked that. And then another series that I've just been reading It's from DC, and it's called Danger Street. Now, this is super nerdy stuff. In the 70s, when I began reading comics, there was a wonderful series from DC Comics called First Issue Special. I think it lasted for 13 to 16 issues, and the premise was every single comic was utterly different. The first issue, if memory serves, was a sword and sorcery series called Warlord. Then other characters had one-shots. That includes the Dingbats of Dingbat Street by Jack Kirby, Metamorpho, The Creeper, Dr. Fate, Lady Cop, The Green Team, New God. So each one was different. Cut to this series called Danger Street, written by, I think, the guy's name Tom King. It's picking up where every single one of these characters that were in that series are in this story. Oh, another character that I neglected to talk about his name was Atlas. So this is Tom King had also written Miracle Man. I think sort of like myself, he's like a super nerd of the 70s, and so he just writes stuff that he likes. So this story has everything from a character named Lady Cop and then it has Darkseid and the New Gods. It's like a crazy recipe. So I'm just got into the first 4 issues. So you're asking, I'm telling. That's kind of what I've been reading.
Someone Zombie wants to know, what class of being is Lady Death? Mutant, elemental, etc.?
Lady Death is a supernatural being. She is neither alive nor dead that I can tell. She appears to be undead. So yeah, she is a supernatural being, much like most of the characters in the Coffin verse. The dominating strain is supernatural ability. You know, we briefly have met some superheroes, a group called the Trust and Lady Death Sacrificial Annihilation, but really our main focus has been the supernatural, and that would include everything from sorcery, warlock, witches, earth, elementals of the earth, everything rooted in supernatural mythology.
Dan wants to know, as a longtime reader, what was the planned ending for the unfinished Dark Alliance series?
So the ending for Dark Alliance would kind of roughly went like this. It was going to be 5 issues. I believe we got 3 out, and where things were headed would be the following. This was a crossover that involved all the Chaos Comics characters, and 2 enemies were Lady Death and the character Purgatory. Now, what was going to happen either in the 3rd or 4th issue, if memory serves, was that there was yet another character named the Savior. To the naked eye of the world, he was a savior. But what people didn't know, and Lady Death and Purgatory knew, was that he was Lucifer in disguise. And towards the end of the series, Lady Death and Hell Witch were going to murder the Savior, and it would happen on live TV. And it would be misconstrued by everyone watching, and to think that these 2 characters who were actually being heroic and stopping Lucifer were instead killing this character that the world believed was a savior. And that would be the climax. And then the following storyline was going to show Purgatory and Lady Death as global public enemies #1, forcing them to have to band together for their own survival. That's where that was going to go. And just for a fun pro tip, because I always wanted to do that and I never got to finish it, please look for strains of that coming up in the 2024 storyline.
Matt wants to know, have you read the Silvestri Batman Deadly Duo?
I read the first issue of the Silvestri Deadly Duo, and I enjoyed what I read, but I haven't read past that just yet.
Okay, so Spencer wants to know, he also wants to know that, let you know that he's Lamarta Backer 64.
Thank you, Spencer. Appreciate you.
What's the ownership deal on Chastity and some of the cross-gen comics in Avatar Press?
So all the Lady Death stories that I wrote during Avatar Press one of my business entities owns all the copyright. What that means is I own the underlying story by agreement and the characters that were created, but I don't own what they published. So the artists they used and all that stuff, that's theirs. But I have the underlying copyright. I have no claim on Chastity. That's owned by Dynamite. And I don't know what the other one was that you'd mentioned. What was the other one?
Just Chastity and some of the cross-gen comics and Avatar Press. Yeah.
So cross-gen comics, I own all of everything to do with Lady Death's run at cross-gen. So that's the books themselves, the underlying storyline, and the copyright to the story and the designs and all that stuff.
Eric wants to know, when you're looking for a new artist, what do you look for in the artist that makes you ask them to do work for you?
What I'm looking for, whether it's a cover artist or an interior artist, is that the artist has really authentically settled into their way of seeing how they draw. I'm a little less interested these days in the new up-and-comers who are not settled into their style yet. And I want to see that the artist, whether it's a cover artist or interior artist, has a voice and an approach that is unique to them. I like to know that to them, all the basics in drawing are super solid in their mind, how a figure looks, how a character looks, how horizon lines operate, the ability to draw anything. So those are some of the things. And it's also, at this point, 32 years in the game, it's based on feel. I mean, I would like to be straightforward with you and tell you I'm really, really interested in publishing like the finest quality every time. So sometimes we look really hard for interior artists. I like to think we do work with among the finest cover artists. So that's what I'm looking for. Let me also tell you that, the Brian Pulido you know as the affable person, how we're interacting right now, that's one element of my personality. I'm going to be upfront with you. As a publisher of Coffin Comics, I am ruthless when it comes to picking phenomenal talent. Like, that's what I'm after. So, there are times where I say people like, we are looking, but please don't even submit unless you're as awesome as everything else we publish. And, sometimes people are surprised if they're not picked, and you'll be picked when it's time. Until then, just keep working at it. Like I had to do, like everybody had to do. There's no workaround. You just got to work hard and become phenomenal.
King wants to know if you discovered any new music.
Have I discovered any new music? Well, I've discovered old music that I fell in love with. Like I've really fallen in love with a band called The Damned. So they're a punk rock act out of the UK. They've been around since the mid-'70s. About 3 or 4 years ago, a friend of mine said, "Hey man, I'm going to go see The Damned. Do you want to go?" And I think I was going to a con the next day, but I said I'd go. And I saw them play, and I really just remember their punk rock era, their first record, which was fine. But man, I just discovered this whole catalog of music. I love the band. I love Dave Vanium's voice. I love Captain Sensible's guitar. So I really like this. Really, they were in that punk rock era for maybe 2 or 3 years, and then they just moved right into being a rock band. And the rock band era is the era that I'm really, really enjoying. New music. I guess I'm just at a whole different spot, because the other thing I've been really enjoying is a band of all things called, and look, man, I know you guys know me as a metalhead, but I'm just a lover of music. So the other band that I've been really enjoying, chilling out, listening to, is a band called Tame Impala. The best way I could describe them is they're kind of like psychedelic lounge rock. In reality, they're one guy out of Australia, and when he tours, he gets other people with him. But it's very super chill. It's great. Like, the sun's going down. I'm having happy hour with my wife, drinking a beer, and I hear this stuff, and it just sort of transports me. I don't know about you guys and gals out there, but one of the things that I love the most in the world is when and if I get to travel, I like to stay in unique hotels. And I like when they pipe in like cool, ethereal, loungy music, because it just transports me to a different place. So to be able to do that in my own home, it's pretty awesome. So those are some of the music that I've really been it's really been calling to me. Of course, it's time to fire it up. I'm firing up all the classics. I really always go back, even with modern, heavier music. For me, it's got to be melodic. There's got to be a chorus I could maybe I'm old school. I want a chorus that I could sing along on, or I could repeat in my mind. So I've just been going back to AC/DC because it just sort of, almost every AC/DC song feels to me like if I was a professional wrestler and I was doing my entrance song, just like every AC/DC song does it. And I do actually imagine myself. It's like, I'm walking out to this song, whatever it is, High Voltage, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, whatever, Back in Black, Rock and Rolling Noise Pollution. So I guess I'm recently very retro. Now, as far as okay, I'm going to still answer your question. So the other music that I've been sort of tripping on is Lana Del Rey. Now, you don't hear me talking about it every day of the week, but I've been a Lana Del Rey fan for about 11 years. I just find her music really tripped out and thought-provoking. So her relatively recent record is called Chemtrails Over the Country Club, and man, she's just like a whole nother person. Like, she does not look like the person who's singing this music, and yet she is. I just have found her really fascinating. So yeah, that kind of, I have a whole category of listen to what I call happy, sad female voice music. Always have. Bands like Mazzy Star. Anyone who knows me knows it's true. I love sad music that makes me happy, and Lana Del Rey is just at the top of the pack for that too.
All right, so almost time. We got about 4 minutes left. Here's a question from Ed Weird.
Hey, Ed.
So he's saying he's loved Belladonna for a long time. Love that series. Any
Fun
chance?
Yeah.
Of seeing it here in Coffin?
No, when I had my settlement with Avatar Press, part of it was they got to own Belladonna. So rest in peace, Belladonna. I liked her too, man. That was a fun series, but it was one of those deals like getting out from my former publisher. I had to cut off a couple fingers to get out. And sometimes you do that, right? You're the dog in the cage. It's like, yep, I had to cut my left hand out to get the rest of the body out.
Okay, this is going to be the last question here. Stolen Zombie wants to know, why didn't Cremator also make a suit of armor for Lady Death in The Reckoning?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I don't know. We'll have to go ask Cremator one time, why didn't he do that? I mean, he did make her sword, so I think that was pretty admirable. And maybe he just wanted her to be able to kind of just deal with her sword only, and maybe he saw as some of her skin is near impenetrable. I don't know. It's a good question. That's another fun character that I'm separated from. Cremator, super cool guy, love him. Well, guys, thanks each and every one of you for hanging out with me at Beer with Brian, the monthly program of the Coffin Comics Sworn Club. Let's get together real soon. Thanks. Keep it rock and roll, baby.
Swornfest, Swornfest, Swornfest. Swornfest, the global gathering for Coffin Comics fiends and the Sworn, featuring exclusive party, artist, signings, commission, panels, beer, food, coffee, alcohol, tours of HQV2, trading posts, CGC, friendship, community, camaraderie, shenanigans, insanity, and more.
Plan ahead. Be there.
Tickets and details on sale now at Coffin